Thank you, President Officer. If a Scottish Government Minister misleads this Parliament and, by extension, misleads the public, should they correct the record?
First Minister.
The arrangements for so doing are set out clearly, and they will be applied where that's necessary to do so.
Russell Findlay.
That was as clear as mud. John Swinney often talks about integrity when his party and his government have none. He denied that his Justice Secretary broke the ministerial code until the Scottish Conservatives proved that she had done so not once but twice. And John Swinney shows exactly the same disregard for integrity and facts when it comes to taxation. Here are the facts. More Scottish workers pay more income tax than those elsewhere in the United Kingdom. Yet John Swinney falsely accuses me of misleading Parliament when I state this hard fact, and then he doesn't correct the record. Now, I know that the SNP's culture of dishonesty will never change, but does John Swinney at least agree that Scots are paying too much tax?
First Minister.
First things first, Presiding Officer, the arrangements in relation to the scrutiny of ministerial conduct have been strengthened by the arrangements that I have put in place. And the system of independent advisers being able to explore and examine cases at their own volition, without reference from me, has only been provided by the actions that I have taken as First Minister to set the highest tests for accountability and scrutiny that have to be in place at all times. So
let's hear the First Minister.
That is only possible because of the arrangements that I have put in place as First Minister. And in relation to the substantive point that Russell Findlay puts to me, the Independent Scottish Fiscal Commission forecasts show that most Scottish taxpayers are expected to pay less income tax this year, 2025-26, than they would if they lived in the rest of the United Kingdom. And I'm happy to put that point on the record in Parliament today.
Russell Findlay.
So he's strengthened accountability by dishing out a get-out-of-jail-free card to all his SNP pals. That's one way of doing it. Taxes are too high in Scotland. Scots are forced, not asked, to pay £1.7 billion extra a year through SNP income tax rises. Yet they see a wasteful government utterly incapable of fixing public services that only get worse, as demonstrated once again today with the revelation that bed blocking costs the NHS up to £500 million every single year. The SNP's list of costly failures is truly endless. Struggling workers, families and businesses, they all deserve a break. That's why in next week's budget we are calling on John Swinney to reduce the crippling financial burden by cutting income tax. So will he do so?
First Minister.
In relation to public services, the recent data that came out on Tuesday demonstrates that for the 6th month in a row, long waits in our National Health Service are falling. In some circumstances, they have fallen by 30% since the start of the financial year. From the plan that I put in place, the resources I put in place, long waits coming down just as I promised they would do for patients the length and breadth of our country. So the key point I would say to Russell Findlay is that the investment we are making in public services is delivering the better outcomes for people in our country. Now, the delayed discharge report from Audit Scotland today demonstrates that there is a necessity for us to work collaboratively with local authorities to tackle that issue, and that good work is highlighted in the Audit Scotland report. Of course, this government recognised the need for that intervention with the National Care Service proposals, but the Conservatives and others would not support those proposals when they came to Parliament.
Thank you.
And the
Let's hear one another.
And the last thing I will say, to Mr Findlay about his tax cut proposals is that, yes, his proposals involve cutting tax, but they also involve cutting public spending by £1 billion, and he never answers that question.
Russell Findlay.
When it comes to the state of the NHS in Scotland under the SNPs, John Swinney's selective statistics do not cut it. Patients know the reality. They see the reality with their own eyes. John Swinney thinks that he can take more and more from workers and businesses, and at the same time spend more and more on benefits. The SNP's annual benefits bill of £7 billion is on course to reach £10 billion. That's £10 billion a year. State benefits are a vital safety net for those in need, but this is unaffordable, it's unfair and it's unsustainable. And the only way that John Swinney can pay for this is by hiking taxes even more. But there is another way. We believe that workers should keep more of their hard-earned money.
Let's hear Mr
and this
Findlay.
will help to increase prosperity by growing the economy. John Swinney could cut people's taxes in this budget by tackling the out-of-control benefits bill, but does he have the bravery to do so?
First Minister.
Since the start of this financial year, new outpatient waits over 52 weeks have fallen by 31%. Since the start of this...
First Minister, just a moment. I'm very conscious of the number of members who've advised me they'd like to put questions today. That will be made far more likely if we can hear one another. First Minister.
So, President Officer, just so that colleagues can hear my remarks, since the start of this financial year, new outpatient waits over 52 weeks have fallen by 31%. Since the start of this financial year, inpatient and day case waits over 52 weeks have fallen by 28.6%. Every single month falls in the levels of these waiting lists. So that is the plans that I put in place, delivering patient benefits for real people in our society. Now, when it comes to social security investment, what this government has done has invested in measures such as the Scottish Child Payment, which means that child poverty is falling in Scotland when it's rising in other parts of the United Kingdom, and we have child poverty levels that are at 30-year lows in Scotland as a consequence of our intervention. Now, I know that Mr Findlay doesn't care about child poverty. I know that the implications of Mr Findlay's policies are to reduce support for vulnerable people in our society, and as a consequence, more children will be subjected to poverty by the callous actions of the Conservative Party. Well, we will have none of that on these benches. We will stand beside the families of Scotland, reducing poverty and making sure that there is opportunity for all within Scotland.